The new data model is, I think, more complicated and less. It's not even necessarily that in all cases it's more complicated. I think it's less understandable because the
Mm,
nonprofit success pack, I'll give an example. The nonprofit success pack used contacts. Everyone knows what a contact is, and relationships. Everyone understands what a relationship is. I don't think I ever even had to explicitly teach any of my clients that a relationship is between two contacts, two people. They just assumed that. I had to teach them that an affiliation is between a contact and an organization. Okay, fine. A contact and an account. But in the new nonprofit cloud, because they have built on core, quote unquote, first of all, you have to teach everyone that they're person accounts, not contacts. That is already a barrier. You could call them people and just, know that people equals person account, but you're already translating. And there's no object called relationship. There are contact relationships, and there are account relationships, and there are account contact relationships.
right.
Those
But then there's it's party group relationships.
And then there's
N-
party relationship groups that talk about accounts. These are, first of all, that's like 4 times as many objects. Second of all, none of their names are intuitive. I mean, if you slow down and you say contact relationship, you can be like, oh, okay, that's a relationship between two contacts. Except that you will never be working with contacts because you'll be working with person accounts. So you'll be dealing with account relationships, which of course everyone's going to start abbreviating. I refuse to do that. I worked in government and I refused to use all the acronyms there too. I'm not going to try to talk to my clients about CCRs and ACRs and AARs. No, it's not going to happen. But that is going to make it a much more difficult learning curve. And
It
that is just the barest tip of the iceberg.
that's the problem, is that it's the tip of the iceberg, I think. Because I think what we just said, we have taken that in and understand it, right? You and I have taken the time to figure out the household model that exists in the new nonprofit cloud. But it just seems like every time I go to a training, it just builds and builds and builds. And so I am trying to create training. I have promised the people who have my study guide and my materials that I am creating new documentation on
Mhm.
the new nonprofit cloud. But I do spend hours feeling like I've only gotten an inch because it's so complex. And maybe it's because I'm not in a real use case and real, like, doing it in real time. And maybe that's it. I don't know exactly what I can do other than I'm just gonna eat it bird by bird and try my best. And I want to stay positive. There are things that they're building in that are great for nonprofits and true, to the transparency piece. It is twice, almost double the price. So it is $60 per user instead of $36 per user
Per month.
per month. Per month. After you get the 10 free licenses. So for those 10 free licenses, still going to be 10 free licenses, no matter which cloud you choose.
And I always think of it in terms of the year. It's $720 a year. And you are not going to be able to economize by doing things like platform licenses,
Right.
because by building it on core, all the nonprofit cloud objects are hidden behind a permission set license, which you will not be able to give to a platform user. I'm
Mm.
not sure if you could assign one to a platform user, but you won't have one to assign. Those come with your $720 a year. So that is a huge price increase.
It is
And
huge.
they're not talking about that at all.
Of course they're not.
Of course they're not, because they don't even want to talk about price. They want to talk about value-based pricing and then give you a
And,
quote at the end.
and there's nothing wrong with that at its core, in
Agreed.
terms of you do wanna give value. So some of the things that they are including, like accounting subledger, which is really kind of it prices out for nonprofits like, "Oh, that's too expensive for what it is," um, to be able to export things to import into my accounting software. They are I was at Salesforce World Tour Atlanta, and they were giving away, a Data Cloud license and a couple of Tableau licenses, and that wasn't to nonprofits, that was just to anybody. So, I do think that they are trying to continue to grow and build and are figuring it out, and there is a little bit of the shiny object, like I said, it's like, "Oh, this wouldn't it be cool if we did X or Y or Z?" Um, but I know um there's a real tension here, and I think it's worth talking about so that people
I
can.
am really sad that more partners aren't willing to talk about it. I thank you for being willing to talk about it. People have thanked me for what I've written and said already, and I will definitely have more to say. But it it doesn't surprise me. It disappoints me that so many partners have just rolled over and it's all sweetness and light. They're having, blog series of top 10 things I love about Nonprofit Cloud or my favorite feature of Nonprofit Cloud. If you were to read the Salesforce blogosphere, you would think Nonprofit Cloud was ready for prime time the day it was released and has nothing but amazing features and is super easy to use and implement. And I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but I don't think any of those things are true. Um, I'm not saying it won't be great in a few years. And I'm not saying, like you said, it doesn't have some whiz bang features now. It does, but it is a new product that, a tech company put out into the world. It is minimum viable. I would call it beta at best. It has bugs. It has bugs that will be challenging to fix. I don't know how a partner implementing against some of those bugs is going to deal with them. Because some of them are pretty basic. The roll-ups, donor roll-ups seems like a baseline need for nonprofits to me. First of all, the data model is nearly impossible for people to understand where the heck those are because they're not a field on person account or contact or account because by having made the choice to build on core, Salesforce can't put a field on account, but they're also wrong. Salesforce publishes a data processing engine definition, not publishes, puts out whatever, when you get your new cloud, you get a data processing engine definition, which doesn't do what it thinks it's doing. The gifts 2 years ago is not gifts in the calendar year two back. It's cumulative, which is not what it should be.
Oh.
And there's only a handful of people on the planet who would know how to fix the DPE definition to fix that. So what are people doing who are implementing this for their clients? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's learning to and it's sort of like AI in terms of, going to where the puck is something that Ian Murphy said on Tim Locky's, these short livers he's been doing, LinkedIn Live. She said she's an AI she's trying to establish as an AI expert, but she's like, "I'm learning as I'm going." And,
Sure.
you know, Wayne Gretzky said, "Go to where the puck is. Don't let it come to you." And so that's what she's trying to do. And so I think that's what a lot of us are trying to and struggling with because what you just said, data processing engine, there's business engine rules, and there's Omni Studio, and there's all these back end features that and Salesforce can make the front end look really cool to customers, but those back end features are hard to learn.
Yeah.
And as I am creating the documentation for my class and trying to put it within it, I don't see how they can wrap it into one certification exam. I really don't. Because the training that I'm trying to develop doesn't even seem like it can be in one class because my NPSP study guide is already 20,000 words with videos.
Mm.
So it's a beast of a product just like Salesforce.
Well, and yeah, they're leveraging all this other technology from the industry's clouds. And that's a lot. People are still learning Flow, and now you want them to learn Omni Studio and data processing engine and business rules engine. I Nonprofit Success Pack has triggers. I don't know how they work because I only know enough Apex to get in trouble, but I don't need to. But as
Right. They're baked in. They're right
they're
there.
baked in and they work right. And they've been tested over many years and they work right. For the moment, data processing engine, it's baked in. But like I said, there's at least one bug in it. And so you can't use it without knowing how it works because you would need to fix it until they deploy a fix. You know,
Right.
I'm not, that's why my plan would be to wait. I have one client where I'm dabbling in it right now, where I'm subcontracting, and it's giving me a lot of education, but it's also telling me, yeah, let them fix the bugs for another year or two, and then dive back in is kind of my plan.
Okay. Well, let's end on a more positive note. I
Agreed.
mean, I think we've stayed fairly positive, but honest. Like, I really want this season of the podcast to really be these conversations that we are having when we're not being recorded,
So
which
my
is
positive
great.
note, I want to think of this from the user perspective. And that's what's making me so frustrated is there's kind of levels of users, right? The basic business user at your nonprofit who you're going to teach like the click path to enter a donation or set up a program or whatever. That person needs to have it just work. And I am frustrated finding that some of the things in nonprofit cloud seem really hard. It goes back to what I said at True to the Core. Things seem like they take a lot of clicks or a lot of if then instead of just working for the user. So that's frustrating me. And I feel like I'm not seeing enough focus on the user from Salesforce when they've been putting this out. Then there's the next level, which is the power user, where they're starting to delve into understanding the data model so that they can do more. And this is really hard. And then the last step is, of course, the admin or accidental admin, where it's even harder, as we were just saying. I wrote a post just before Thanksgiving, and that was coincidental, but it was a gratitude post that happened to be published on Thanksgiving. Like I wrote it and I scheduled them out, and I was like, oh, look at that. Gratitude the week of Thanksgiving. I super appreciate Salesforce's ability for people to be accidental admins. And anything that's introducing complexity that is not because it is necessary makes me crazy. Complexity for complexity's sake bothers me. Solving something the way an engineer would solve something bothers me. I want it solved the way a regular person can understand it.